Next month, we will be talking about the archaeology of Acadiana with Dr. Mark Rees, and at that time, if not sooner, we will have the last half of the year's lecture series unveiled and ready for you guys to think over and pick which lectures you want to come to, but hopefully you'll come to all of them. So we do have some people who have been here, some diehards who have been here since January, and thank you for that. And do you want to come and say a few words about Vermilionville, please?
I just want to say welcome on behalf of Vermilionville and the Vermilionville Foundation, and I hope you enjoy tonight's talk. And if you have any questions about Vermilionville or anything that we offer, feel free to ask me after or give me a call up here. Thanks.
Thank you, Ann. And Vermilionville and the Bayou Vermilion District have been wonderful partners with us on this venture, and we hope to continue it next year and into the future as well with them. This lecture series is sponsored as well by the Lafayette Convention and Visitors Commission, as well as the Vermilionville Board. So I just wanted to mention that as well.
I'm going to give you guys a quick overview of the Center for Cultural and Ecotourism and what we do, just in case you guys were not familiar. We are one of the 6 centers of excellence at UL Lafayette. We are also one of the youngest centers of excellence at UL. We were established in January 2001 when our director, Dr. Grasso, Carl Grasso over here, was given a computer, office space, and a graduate student, and the mandate to do something. And with those very concise, clear instructions, he developed a very large website, established an annual tourism conference, gathered together a very wonderful group of scholars on campus, which were named the CSET Fellows, and I will refer to the Center for Cultural and Ecotourism throughout the night as CSET. It's much easier to say the acronym than the entire name. Once Dr. Grasso got into the office, he discovered the archives of Cajun and Creole folklore in the back, which were in a serious state of deterioration due to some renovations at the library. You may or may not have heard. They expanded it a couple of years ago, doubled the size, put those big cement balls out front. Well, in the process of all that, the archives were housed in an area where there was little to no climate control, unless you want to consider extreme heat and cold and humidity climate control. Some people do, even in the archives out in Louisiana. It does work that way sometimes. So he initiated a process to salvage what was in the archive. And so in addition to the online tourism guide and the fellows research and the community outreach that he had established and the conference, we began a very active archiving program. Alyce, LaBry, to my right here, is our current media archivist. In the back is our archival technician, Chris Segura. You guys may also recognize him as the fiddle player for Fofole, as well as in Lafayette River Devils. So we have a very small staff, and with our staff, what we are doing now is not only preserving what we have currently in the archive, but we are actively going out and contributing to that through field work. I'm going to turn it over now to Alyce to give you guys a better understanding of what we are doing in the archives of Cajun and Creole folklore.
Hi. Actually, the archives was started, I'm not sure when, but by Barry Onsley, professor at UL in the Modern Languages and Humanities departments. And he was given instructions to take something and put it on a shelf and thus begin his archive. So since then we've acquired numerous collections. We have thousands and thousands of reel-to-reel tapes and cassette tapes. I've been working with mini discs recently. And audio-video documents, photographs, slides, all about Cajun and Creole folklore. And our current archiving process is run by the 4 assistants that we have in the office and myself. And for the audio, we run it through soundboard and computers into high quality files, and then we compress them into smaller files to be put on our database. And the same is done with the documents. they're scanned at high resolution and compressed as thumbnails so they can be easily searched through. And a little bit about our projects going on in field work. I started working with the archives doing a Mardi Gras project about Mardi Gras traditions in places where the traditional couriers were run before but are not anymore. Just kind of get an idea of what they did, what songs they sang, what they wore, and have continued to work on numerous things. Projects for the summer, Jennifer?
Well, we've been invited out to hawks, crawfish, to document their purging process. We also plan to work with the Jean Lafitte National Park system to create a friends group, and as well, we're going to go visit all of the locations in that 6-park system and document what their resources are there. We also planned on going one other place.
Nothing's coming to mind right now.
We're going out into the Florida parishes.
Right.
Because it's the part of Louisiana we always forget about. The English part. So we've done a pretty good job so far of documenting French Louisiana, but we're going to go into the Florida parishes where it was predominantly run by the Brits. Back before we were Americanized. But it's important also in our archive, what we have done is we have moved the original media into the next stable format. When we first began, that was a format called DAT tape. Since then, with the advent of CDs, we have moved things forward to CDs and or DVDs, depending on what the original material was. We do have reel-to-reel tape, cassette tapes, VHS, some beta, some Super 8. We have a lot of film. And we just recently received a Board of Regents grant that will enable us to purchase the equipment and supplies necessary to rehabilitate all of our film and preserve it, because it is undergoing what is called vinegar syndrome.
Yeah, and it just starts to smell bad and deteriorate and eventually fall apart if you ever try to do it. So, and then from the digital copies that we make hard copies of those on CD or VHS or DVD, and we store another copy on hard drives so that in case of emergency we can take them with us.
That's right. We make sure some form of what we have digitized to date and cataloged is portable in case of hurricane or other natural disasters. If we're told to go, we can just easily grab some small hard drives and run out the door. If we have more time, we tarp everything.
So, as far as documenting your own family's history, kind of what we do once we get information documenting a larger family's history, it kind of runs along the same lines. What you want to do is first get stuff, and you can do that in a number of different ways. When you go out and talk to family members, bring a recorder along, also photos. You can take photos of people, of places, and documents, anything that you have, what your family may have owned, maps of family land and whatnot.
Yeah, a lot of time, people don't realize what they have in the family collective memory until somebody passes away and they have to go in and clean out the house and the attics. And then you discover all sorts of treasures, anything from land grants to personal letters and diaries to really interesting photographs taken from world wars, those that served overseas, family videos. We had a home movie day last November, and some women brought in some of the neatest home movies, and that actually documented the environment in central Louisiana about 50 years ago, which I thought was really interesting. But so the first step to preserving your family history, and this is just a personal suggestion, is to take stock of what exists. Is to go to those family members who have kind of held the memory of the family and preserved it, and see what they've been hoarding away. Most people just think that they've just been keeping everything.
And that's a good thing. And we don't want to discourage them from keeping everything, because those are the people that have the best treasures to uncover. So go to those people, ask them what they have, offer to sit with them for a day and go through some portion of what they have squirreled away in a room or the attic or cabinets or wherever else they're hiding their stuff. And look at it and take stock of it. If it's a bunch of paper, then you know you need to get acid-free boxes. You know you need to get a flatbed scanner. You know you need to have some sort of software that you can scan that paper into a program and create electronic files from that. And all this stuff I'll go into later. This is just a broad overview. If you have photographs, you need to take an assessment of what state those photographs are in, and then to better preserve them, you need to go out and purchase some equipment. And again, you'll need some scanning software and a scanner in order to make electronic files of those.
We have a slide scanner here. A lot of people were really into slides back in the 80s and stuff. I mean, I remember, did y'all ever have slideshows? My dad was a big fan of the slideshow. And then if you have video, if the older video cameras, you need to look and see if you've got those kind of tapes, and then figure out how you can move that to some sort of digital format. But sometimes if you still have the camera, you can plug it into a computer through either directly into the computer or through some sort of a converter, and you can just put it through. If you have a Macintosh computer, you can use iDVD and some of the other programs that come with the computer. For PCs, I'm not quite certain, but we can certainly help you figure that out if you have questions after we're done. So just take a general stock of what already exists, and then talk to those older family members, those who have tons of stories, who may or may not have shared them over the years, and kind of draw them out and find out what they have to say, how comfortable they are talking about these things. Some of your family members are just going to talk your ear off. You're not going to be able to eat or go to the bathroom or anything, because they're just going to keep talking and talking and talking. But there are other family members that are very hesitant to talk about what their experiences were over the years or certain family stories. So before you actually begin documenting, I encourage you to get those family members that you really want to get stories from comfortable with you talking to them and asking them questions. And I would suggest bringing a notebook and a pen and just writing down those little tidbits that they put out there, so that you can come back to those when you have some recording equipment with you. So from there, you can also get an idea of who else you need to talk to in the family, who else has other things that you may want to go through and kind of collect together and begin a larger project with. And this is something that, I have a friend who goes and visits her granny every chance she gets. And, she hasn't brought a recorder out there yet, but I bet if she were, granny would talk her ear off.
It's just how it is. They want it. It's a lot of family members that get really excited when they find out that you're interested in what they have to say. And so I thoroughly encourage that. So once you get an idea of what exists and what state it's in, then you can begin the process of setting up your equipment and your method from there. Take what already exists, put it into digital format through the computer, through scanning and things like that, and then begin an active process of collecting new material. And by that, you can take your video camera out, you can take your audio recorder out, you can take your digital camera out to all of your family members' places and document everything from their house, the inside of the house, to the landscape, to the people. And what's important to those people, because sometimes there are things that you would take for granted that is very important to that person. And so it's important to make sure that you are giving them what they want to get out of this experience, as well as preserving the family history for everybody else as well. So some people are fine in front of a video camera, others are not. And for that, I would suggest an audio recorder and a digital camera, because you can take a quick picture You could even sneak into one of those little videos because most of the digital cameras these days have a video component feature, and you can get a little video of them, in action. And then you can just record them. Most audio recorders are very unassuming, very small. They don't intimidate people. And once you get them comfortable with an audio recorder, they may feel more comfortable in front of a video camera. So it's just, you have to be very sensitive to their needs and their level of comfort, especially since it's your family. You really don't want to make them upset with you because then you won't get the rest of the family to talk to you. So, and just for basic information, when you do begin interviewing your family members with an audio recorder or a video camera, you always want to get them to state their name, where they were born, what their date of birth was, who their parents were, and that they do consent to the interview. Just a very basic statement. Yes, I know I'm being recorded, and I'm okay with that. Just, you never know.
But once you get that basic information, then you can start to get them talking about those things, like, what was your favorite memory from childhood? And that'll lead into things, and you may have a list of questions based on all of your talks with them and visits with them from before, but one question may put them off on a tangent that is just so interesting and fascinating that you may have a difficult time getting back to your list of questions, which means another visit. Make sure you have plenty of batteries, make sure you have plenty of tapes or memory cards or whatever it is that you're using to record and document your family history, because you never know how much you're going to need in a new one city.
And then once you've collected all of this media and possibly artifacts even, we recently visited the Tabasco archive, and they had on the McElhenney's Civil War uniforms, so you might get any kinds of things like that, maybe a baptismal gown or something. The things that you want to take in consideration are conservation, so that if it's in a poor state, you want to make sure it doesn't get any worse, or preservation. In conservation, you want to make sure that it stays intact and doesn't run the risk of big damage. And some of the biggest things for damage are light, temperature, and humidity, pests, bugs, and whatnot. And I think there was one more, but those things you really got to be aware of, because light is energy and it'll affect the chemical composition of tapes and of photographs and any kind of fiber or anything. And pests, bugs, all kinds of beetles will come in and eat anything. And heat and humidity, I don't know if you've ever come across negatives or photographs that are stuck together. I think tapes will do that too. And so you want to keep your whatever media you have and things and amazing things that you've found away from all these things. Store them in dry places, cool, dark spots, and check on them frequently. You want to put everything in acid-free boxes and make sure that check on it every now and then. Make sure the critters aren't getting in there, and check on those things.
If your family members happen to have photo albums, those old photo albums where they had the adhesive on them, or they use some sort of adhesive to attach the photographs to the page, what can they do?
Those will definitely turn yellow over time and get gummy on the back. Best thing is get them out of there. Sometimes you can soak them to get them unstuck, but sometimes you'll have to slide a razor blade through or something to get them off of there. And then you want to immediately put them on acid-free paper, and not with any kind of glue or anything, but those little acid-free corner mounts are probably the best thing I can recommend.
That's easily picked up.
Yeah, you can find those at Michael's or any kind of craft store. You can also order there a couple of places, I think Light Impressions, Daniel Smith, or artist kind of places that carry those things. You can order them.
Just when you buy photo albums in the future, you always want to make sure that they are acid-free and not archival quality, but something that will not damage photographs. And if they get slides, if you come across slides and negatives,
Yeah, you can have the slide pages, the slides, so you can have them. You can easily look at them in the light on a light table. So that's a good way to keep them organized in binders. And same thing with negatives. And,
Sure. We have some samples of everything out over here. And I don't know if anybody brought anything with them today that they wanted, that they had, that they knew that they needed to be assessed or that they wanted to preserve in some fashion or other. But we brought samples just in case nobody brought anything out. And we have a few examples of different kinds of equipment that we use in the field that you may find useful to you when you are going out and documenting your family's history. So, I have to turn it
Here are a couple of examples of audio recorders. This isn't every type, but we have a regular cassette tape recorder, a digital one that I recently got a couple of years ago, but it's pretty handy just for carrying around and records directly into digital format. Not the highest quality though, and we have one of the little tiny tape recorders. Again, it's small. Others are mini disc recorders, and then solid state, which also records automatically into digital format, and you can do that at higher quality. I'm not sure how much these run nowadays. This one was about 100, and it's a pretty solid thing just to get started if you ever want to invest in one.
Yeah, don't be shy of prices either. I mean, if you're documenting your family's history for your family, just go out and do it. It does, you can find audio recorders for $40 now, and there's nothing wrong with that. Most of them will plug right into the computer, and then you can actually listen to the files that you created through the computer.
Bring it to us. Sometimes there's an audio output that you can plug into your computer, and various assortment of cables from Radio Shack. That's the majority of what we do. Well, not the majority, but a large part of what we do.
And if you do purchase new equipment, the instructions will show you how to, take you through the process of dumping it onto your computer so that you can then do something with it. I can't think of some audio recorder in this day and age that wouldn't have the capability to be, saved on the computer, because that's the generation we're in right now. So, and it's a very simple process. The audio recorders that we use to record the lectures use compact flash cards, and so we also are a Macintosh office. Most people use PCs, and because of that, our equipment takes an extra step to get to the next level. I'm sorry, magnetic tape.
And there are other places, I'm not sure about for tape, but there are places around town that do video, like if you want to bring a reel of 8mm film to them, they will transfer that to CD or DVD for you, just at a fee. So.
It's not cheap though, is it, Carl? But maybe one day when we have all of our equipment in, it would be something that you would consider donating to the archive. And most of our donations to the archive result in a copy being kept in the archive. And either, if you want to allow us to keep the originals, we will do so. Otherwise, we turn the originals back over to you with copies in a digital format. And retain a copy. No. The database used is in some format available on Louisiana Digital Library, but we have found in the years that since we made that live, that it is not the most efficient way of us to get our database out to the public. It's much easier for people to come directly to the center's website, click on the Archives tab, and then access it from there. We don't currently have the catalog available online, but it is a project for this month. We should have it live by the end of May.
Hopefully before Archive Day, which is on the 23rd of this month, our fundraiser.
What about the
Sure.
documents?
Yeah. Okay.
We also have a couple of scanners. We have the regular flatbed scanner, which can scan documents, maps, and images, and then the slides, which scan the slides one at a time. Some flatbed scanners have a light strip right here, and you can take this thing out, and they can scan a row of slides or a row of negatives as well. And it's just tricky because they're always touching the flat bed of it. When you're dealing with most documents, you want to handle everything on the edges, of course, so as not to get oils of your fingers on them. Lots of archivists and museum caretakers wear white gloves, which I highly recommend. I use it for my own stuff, my own work. And it's pretty simple. Once you get everything plugged in and everything comes with instructions and aid, just lay it down on the scanner, close it, and then press a couple buttons. And
Yeah. Most scanners have different modes for scanning your material, and it's always important to, what we have here is a black and white image, so I'm going to change it from color to grayscale because it'll produce a richer image. Resolution, your basic resolution is 300 dpi or dots per inch. What images you see on the web are 72 dpi, which is very low resolution. It doesn't look good if you copy it and try to put it into a document to reproduce. It comes out on the printer really pixelated looking, and so instead, I always encourage people to scan things at a minimum of 300 dpi. With your family images, I know from personal experience, my dad has been documenting our family photographs for over 2 years now, and I sat down with him and I insisted that he had to scan everything at 600 dpi just because the images, and he listened to me, oddly enough, but the images are older, and so there's an aging process that has already taken place with them. So you have to scan them at a higher resolution to preserve everything that still exists in that image and on that photographic paper. So I'm going to change this to 600 dpi. And you can go all the way up to 1200 dpi, and I'm going to go ahead and preview it first. So it'll come up in a moment. And you may want to do that as well. If you are able to invest in software like Adobe Photoshop, there is a really wonderful function whereby you can put any number of photographs that will fit on your flatbed scanner and scan them all and open it in Photoshop, and it will turn them so that they are level and square, or whatever size they are, and then it will make individual files of each of them. It recognizes that they're individual images, and it is so awesome. I'm a big fan of Adobe Creative Suite, which has Photoshop and Adobe Acrobat, which we use to scan paper if you're making PDFs of like letters and personal diaries and things like that. And it also has a web publisher and various other software in the package. So that's why I'm a big advocate of
it's a huge
Photoshop.
time saver, and that's a big thing when you have a lot of stuff. For example, our archive has stuff that's going to take us years and years and years to make digital and make available. It's a huge time saver, and so whatever you can do with that. And a lot of times, what you have may not last much longer, so you want to get it done as quickly as possible.
Definitely. Okay, so the image has come up, and I'm going to just create a box around it. Because there's really no need to scan all that dead space. And I'll just click the scan button. And it brings up and wants to know what kind of image that I want to scan it as. I highly recommend that you save all pictures as TIFF files, .tif, rather than JPEGs. Every time you open a JPEG file, a little bit of the information in that file is lost. TIFF files are the most stable image files. I'm going to click on TIFF and tell it to go ahead and scan it, and we'll do that. It's a slow process. I'm a stickler for looking at things and making sure it's exactly what I want and getting just the image scanned. Some people skip the preview process, and that's fine. It's all about how much time you have to spend on this project. And if you want to go back later and do your image editing and things like that, then it's a matter of personal preference.
And there it is. And it's an image from the 1927 flood. I think there's more caption with it. Does anybody have any questions?
Well, what I would do is save it as a TIFF, and that would be like your file that you keep safe. And then if you ever have to email it, you can open or make a copy, open it up, and save it as a JPEG to send it. Yeah, they're smaller.
They're smaller files.
Yeah.
And in an email, you know, typically what you're sending out through an email, you don't need to have that high quality image. TIFFs don't typically email well because they are larger files, because all of the image information is contained within that file. Okay, does anybody have any slides that they'd like to preserve?
At home, not necessarily here.
No? Yeah. Or just bring them over to us, we'll scan them for you. I'll just load these home.
And slides, because they're physically smaller, I usually scan them at a higher resolution, sometimes up to 2400 DPI. And DPI is dots per inch, and it's the number of little pixels per inch of thing. Medium.
And our scanner comes with its own software interface, which is what I'm using. And I always hit the preview on this because you can do adjustments to the image with the color balance and things like that, so that when it's scanned, it's the way you want it to look. Okay.
What about slides that are process for that?
Yes, you want a link.
Anything I should try?
You can, if it's just dust, you can get little blower brushes, and it's like a brush on the end of a little balloon, and so it'll blow air, and then you can kind of brush stuff away. You want to be careful because there's an emulsion side and a regular side, and the emulsion side is like where the actual chemicals are that have been affected, or so it's a little bit more delicate, and you want to be super careful around that side. You can get film cleaning solution as well, and a little bit on there, put a little bit on a cloth and wipe it off, and then wipe it dry.
We worked on a book project several years ago with some slides that had been mildewed, and we cleaned them off as best we could. We used a little puffer brush that didn't get much off of it, if anything. So then we went to condensed canned air, which you have to be very careful because, it gets real cold real fast, and then that creates, condensation on the slide, which isn't good for it either. So you have to do that very carefully. And then we scanned it just to get anything that was surface off that we could remove. And then we ended up going to Photoshop and having to do some back-end kind of photo restoration to it. So, but if you do have slides, and they exist out there, it would be in your best interest to get a hold of them, find out what condition they're in, and then perhaps scan them. Oh, there's a professional service for everything. We're not in the business of preserving your family's history unless we get to keep a copy of it. But we'll certainly help you out and if you have anything that you come across that you're not quite sure to do with, you certainly bring it in and we'll help you go through the process of figuring it out. Okay, so I have a slide here and I have the whole palette up. And it's just a simple process. It's a lot of eyeballing, and I had the benefit of working with Philip Gould on his slides for a book project, and that taught me a lot about what you want to look for when you make adjustments. And it's always important to understand that what you see on the screen is not necessarily what will reproduce on paper. What you see on the computer screen will not look the same as it will in print, because what you see on your screen is what is produced by a certain calibration for your monitor. When you send something to press or through a printer, there are several other processes and calibrations that exist. So we come across that quite often. So.
A little bit about film. Again, we don't have any film preservation equipment as of right now in the archives, but we're getting some. But things you want to be aware of with that is if you have 8mm or 60mm, see that the tape has not shrunk, because a lot of times if you run it through the projector, the sprocket holes won't match up and then it'll break off. So you probably want to take that to a lab if you suspect it. Also, if you open it up and there's a musty or not necessarily musty, but a vinegary smell, that's a sign of vinegar syndrome, and you would want to take it to a lab to make sure that you're not damaging it any further.
Okay. All right, I've tweaked this a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and scan it just to give you an idea. With slides, what happens is it scans it at the actual dimensions of the slide, but at a very high resolution. So it's a very small size and a very high resolution, which gives you a lot of leeway in how you then handle the image from there. You can make it very large and lower the DPI significantly if you need to put it into some sort of a publication, or if you want to print it out on a letter-sized piece of paper. Because otherwise it's like real small. And slide scanners go a little slower because of the DPI as well.
And for duplication, say you want to take some of these pictures that you found and then hand over copies to other family members, you can take them to any lab, from Walgreens to the County Center to wherever, and you want that to be at least 300 dpi for it to reproduce well.
Yeah, a lot of people recently I've discovered by going to lots of weddings of late will take the family photographs, scan them in, and make quick, basic PowerPoint slideshows of just image after image after image with some music in the background. And that's a wonderful first step to preserving your family's history. If nothing else, as long as you're getting those photographs into a digital format and you're sharing them with the family. And a lot of times family members will come up and ask for copies of that. And you can easily burn those slideshows to CD. You can even put them out on the internet through various hosting sites and things like that. But a lot of times after you've collected all of this material, you're not quite sure what to do with it, you create this huge project for yourself, and the end never seems to come, particularly if you have a large family and they all find out that you're doing this and they just keep bringing you stuff and bringing you stuff. And then it becomes an issue of, okay, I have all this stuff now, how do I share it back with the family? There's various things you can do.
Sharing?
Yes, there are. You can turn it into a small book. It's very easy to publish things. You can even do it in Microsoft Word. It's very easy to insert images in Word. If you do use Word, I encourage you to take your images and save a copy at a lower resolution. You don't want to plug in the 600 DPI images because it'll make your Word document very unwieldy. I also suggest that you make like chapters in a book and save each Word file as a small chapter rather than try to do like 200 pages full of images as one Word document, because it could not open, the file could get corrupted, it could take a very long time to open because there's so much information contained in it. So if you have a Word document of up to 30 pages with images, you're a lot safer. And then you can in turn turn those Word documents into PDF format, and that will lock everything down and you can print it very quickly. You can bring it to Office Depot, they can print it and do like a coil binding on it, and you've got your Christmas gifts. Ta-da!
Also, a neat little thing about Macs, and I know in iPhoto you can make books as well, and have a really nice canvas cover, and it's a really, really beautiful presentation of things. You can add the text in there too, and the quality, the color always comes out nice.
Yeah, there's a few online websites as well that you can put together books and have them printed like on demand. And some of them will even do a hardbound binding for it. It does look very attractive. Some people will want to hear what you have collected. You can easily make CDs for them. There's basic audio editing software on most computers, or you can go online, do a Google search, and find some that you can use for free, and just turn your interviews into stories and make little tracks that you can then burn to CD for your family members.
And then if you have a lot of stuff and nobody in your family is interested, you don't know what to do with it, people have passed on, they would only be interested in it, you can always donate it to an archive.
Such as ours.
Indeed. And they would certainly preserve that and carry it on for whoever else may be interested in it. Scholars too. I know ours is useful to scholars and musicians and just general people interested in stuff around here, documentary makers.
It's important though, also, I think I started almost every sentence with that, but I can't impress upon you enough that your family's history is important, and it is worth documenting, and it is worth digging deeper to find out what all exists, because that just contributes to the collective knowledge of what we have of this area and of our people, of our culture, of our ethnicity, of our language. Everything that we are comes from who we were. And so I encourage all of you to go out and start documenting your family histories. And if you don't know what to do with it, please come to us. If you come across something that you're just not quite sure how to handle, we can help you with that. If you do end up with a lot of stuff and you're overwhelmed with it, we'll happily take it off of your hands and put it in our digitizing queue and catalog it and make it available to more people. We have several collections that are composed of students' work. And within our students' work are some very interesting things that have been documented, some traditional hunting methods, songs that were performed on the front porch or in the nursery. Those are things that we don't readily recognize or are aware of, but are very much a part of who we are. So don't think that what you have and what your family has preserved in some fashion isn't important, because it really is.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Question, how do you get official documents? Like, for instance, I found out recently that my family was named on the local farm. How would you get, no idea. I was always wondering how the very kind
of times, courthouses and churches are the best places to find official documents. But I'm not sure, it's like a travel.
I went to the Acadian Memorial, and I found out there.
Oh, right.
I know they have a big archive selection there, but I think that it's close to public.
Mhm.
I was told.
Do you know Dr. Brasso?
Yeah, I was just asking about it has to come from official document.
Yes, there's another archive, it's housed in the center of it. Contains probably some of the we have material we might do the last 20 years in North Carolina. Other places in North Carolina deal with going to Mississippi Valley, Gulf Coast. And there are several finding agencies that are nobody else. Yeah, like the finding agencies, attorney groups. But there's a fairly good chance we have at least some of the list for something involved in our own.
Where are y'all located?
We're on the third floor of Ritter Library on the UL campus.
Yeah, we sandwich, the center's sandwich, the Louisiana room. We're on like
I know
the back left corner.
So it's by Louisiana.
Yes. The Center for Cultural and Ecotourism is to the left of Louisiana Room, and the Center for Louisiana Studies is to the right. And what Dr. Brasso was saying is that there is a very comprehensive microfilm collection in the Center for Louisiana Studies that covers colonial Louisiana. It's got French documents and British documents and Spanish documents, all for the different colonial phases of Louisiana, which Louisiana at that time was not just the state that we know now, but the entire Louisiana territory.
I have another question. I was kind of confused. I never heard that the Florida Parish, I always thought they were under the control of Spanish. I never heard that they were under the control of British. I was just.
No, they were just kind of inhabited mostly by the English in that area. So they don't have the same strong French tradition that we do.
All right, I was confused. I thought you said that the British controlled that. I always thought it was Spanish.
British control it from the home day from 1763 to the national Mississippi.
So the Spanish, I always thought it was Spanish. That's why I thought that the name of Florida is American, because the Florida.
Part of western and the west coast, which ran from Mississippi to the Virginia River.
Well, we'll leave the equipment out if you want to come and take a look at it, and we'll answer questions if you have anything you'd like to ask us individually. We do encourage you guys to come to the Center for Cultural and Ecotourism and explore the archives. We have some listening rooms available. You can sit down and peruse the database and look up anything. Every field is searchable within our database. We do not have everything in the collection digitized and cataloged. It would take us, if we never received another piece of material for the collection, it would take us at least 6 years to get through what we currently have. You know, we do have a small staff, and we are working very diligently, but we're constantly encouraging people to bring us stuff. So we work as fast as we can with what we have available to us through manpower and equipment and time. Also, please join us at the Blue Moon Saloon on May 23rd for Archive Aid. It is our 6th annual fundraiser, and we have a great lineup this year. We've got Balfa Toujours, T. Saleh,
Corey Porsche, Joe Hall, and the King Cutters, and then some front porch sessions with David Greeley, Bonsoir Cartel members, Christy Gillery, and Beth Landry, and Becca Begno and Drew Landry. And Ginger Lee, right?
Oh, yes, and gingerly. Admission is $10, and it will start start at 3. The doors open at 3 on Saturday the 23rd, and we're just gonna have a lot of fun. If you guys can't make it out there, KRBS will be live streaming a portion of the event. So if you can get online or just tune your radio to 88.7. Yes, ma'am. But they live here, don't they? They moved here. Yeah. Well, it would still be an interesting study of how these people came from Kansas to Louisiana and adapted and became a part of the social fabric of Acadiana. It's all important.
Thank you very much for coming. I give Jennifer my thanks as well for presenting with me, and all of our folks who work with us at the and you guys for coming.
Yes, we do need to thank some in particular because some are leaving us. LaBry Fleming is a graduate student who has been with us for quite some time now. She's in the back over there, which is embarrassing. But she is graduating and moving on to bigger and better things over there in Lake Charles, and we will miss her greatly. So, thank you for all of your hard work.